Are you guys ready to hear a man who has been named by Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential men in the last century? There's only 4 living individuals that have been so honored. Life magazine has also given him the same honor. Right now, I can't tell you, for those of you who may be looking at me and thinking, I kind of know that guy from somewhere and I can't place it. I was in a group called 98 Degrees. You might have heard of Nick Lachey. I'm sure we have a few fans in here and probably some people that hated our music. But of all the things I've been able to do in my life, I've traveled all around the world. Well, I don't know why I'm going to mention this because it really wasn't an honor, but I've met Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and George Bush and Laura Bush and the twins and Colin Powell and a lot of people. I've met a lot of stars, but there is not a person that I met. I mean, Stevie Wonder, love him to death. I mean, my biggest idols in the world I have had the honor and the pleasure to meet, but there is not another person that I can think of that I would be more honored to introduce, and I hope you all will give him a warm welcome, and not just a warm welcome here tonight, but give him your support, give him whatever money you can contribute, whatever time you can contribute. I hope you all will help us with the monumental task of getting him on the ballot here in Illinois, because we will be challenged by the Democratic Party. There is no doubt about that. And ultimately, the future of our country not only belongs to people like Ralph Nader, but it belongs to people like you. And the people have the power, but only if we know we have the power and we stand up for ourselves and we make sure that we exercise our rights. You all count, you all matter, and it's time we stand up and say we're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore. So, we have limited time, otherwise I would love to just milk this wonderful moment in my life. But right now, it is my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to introduce to you a real troublemaker, a rebel without a pause, and with a cause that is righteous, a very, very unreasonable band. Please welcome Ralph Nader.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Justin. I don't know why theaters are designed in ways where speakers can't see the audience. But I think you're out there somewhere. Okay, that's good. Well, thank you. I've already met a few dozen of you. You've gotten the book, The Good Fight, and other books, and I hope you read them because that's where the issues are elaborated here. Being in Chicago, I want to give a story about Eugene Debs. Many of you know the great labor leader, Eugene Debs. And he spoke out against World War I because he knew about European wars. And he spoke out and he was thrown in jail. He got 1 million votes for president when he was in jail. Those are the days, huh? One day he came to Chicago for a big rally. 200,000 people turned out in open field. Near the end of his career, a reporter came up to him and asked him the following question. They said, Mr. Debs, what is your greatest regret? All your struggles and battles for justice, and working families. What's your greatest regret? And he said, my greatest regret is that the American people can have almost anything they want, but they don't seem to want much of anything at all. And that spells what happens when we allow us to become prisoners of a 220-year-old electoral system dominated by 2 parties, antiquated by the Electoral College, where you can come in second and be President of the United States, and basically stripped of any opportunity for voters to have proportional representation or instant runoff voting. And so this leads voters to become very practical. It leads them to vote for the least worst. They dislike intensely both parties, but forevermore there'll always be one party. It's not quite as bad as the other. So they choose between the terrible and the horrible. And once the two parties know that they've cornered a vast majority of voters in that way, they can manipulate the political and electoral process, sell it to corporate money, let the corporations hijack our government, engage in self-perpetuation of themselves, which is their primary objective, the Democrat and Republican parties. They seem to demean the process, and then they turn around and they make it difficult for people to vote. They make it difficult for them to register. And when they do vote, they make it difficult for the votes to be counted accurately. We're getting requests in our country from Brazil saying, can we send monitors? Well, we'll tell you how to do it right. Canada does a paper ballot. By 11 o'clock at night, they know who won and who lost in that vast country. But now more and more people are wondering whether their votes are being accurately counted. So who are we kidding ourselves? We know who runs this country. We know who keeps telling no to things we want yes said to. The people in this country want, a majority of the people want a full Medicare for everybody, single payer, government insurance, free choice of doctor and hospital, which most people don't have now under the HMOs. They want a system that is more efficient, but the HMOs and the health insurance giants and the drug companies say no, and they make it stick. Where do they make it stick? In a place called Congress. And what is Congress? It's made up of 535 men and women who put their shoes on every morning the way we do, and a handful of corporations control a majority of those members of Congress on life and death issue called health insurance. And we're millions of people back home. What are we doing? Upgrading our profile on Facebook? Watching the third rerun of Friends? Before we get tough with corporations who have turned Washington, D.C. into corporate-occupied territory, who have commercialized almost everything in our life these days, including education, including our elections, including our government, including our politics, including things that should never be commercialized in a democracy. There should be sanctuaries, no commercial activity dominating. We should not allow the commercialization of childhood by marketing junk food and violent programming to little children, for example. There has to be commercial-free zones. And there have to be commercial-free zones. There have to be areas that are off limits to corporate predatory activity. That's too important for other value systems that can never be subordinated by these commercial interests. Every major religion in the world, going back a couple thousand years, warned its adherents not to give too much power to the merchant class, because the merchant class knows no tolerance when it collides with other much more important value systems, whether it's health or safety or protection of posterity or access to justice or more recently, democratic processes. And so we have these handful of corporations that have no votes, they have money, they have power, overriding our popular sovereignty, and we had a heads up on them, didn't we? The preamble to the U.S. Constitution is not written we, the corporations. It's written we, the people. So we had a heads up on them, and we let it go. And we're letting it go every day. And we're letting these companies say no to what a majority of the American people want for their future and for their country and for their status as the most powerful country in the world.